The time has come. After, I don't even know, it's been like 6 months? I have no idea. The turbo kit for Unequal Fabrication is finally here. I haven't seen any pictures of any of it yet, so you will experience this with me for the first time. There's a couple of boxes. I got a full turbo kit, an exhaust, everything, engine back. And then we've got a spare turbo also that should be in that box. Hopefully everything's in good shape. The boxes do look a little beat up. There's a couple holes in a couple of them. This one's got a nice boot print on it, so let's hope nothing's damaged. But yeah, start cutting this stuff up, opening it up, and see what we got. We'll start with these, which I think is going to be intercooler piping and possibly exhaust in one of them. They are fairly heavy. All right. Let's cut the cap lid off. There we go. Let's see what's in box number 1. Couplers. K&N filter. This looks pretty small, honestly. Definitely smaller than what I've got on the car currently. Probably to fit in the tight space it'll have to live in. And I'm also going to be running a dry flow sock on this just because I've got the vented hood. We've got drain kit. With a little note in here, which we'll open later. There we go. Now we're getting into the good stuff. Intercooler piping. Clamps. More piping. This looks like exhaust components. Woo. This must be the turbo manifold, which I gave him a cast manifold. This is one of the eBay ones. I didn't want something that could possibly crack. So I'll show you that in a little bit. What else do we have in here? More piping. I think I'm actually going to end up having all this stuff powder coated, just so it doesn't scratch up and so that it looks nicer. No idea what this one is. Blow off valve? Yep, blow off valve. I also sent him a cool NGR, I believe, is the brand, Type S, and it sounds exactly like the Eclipse from the first Fast and Furious movie, because, you know, I got to keep everything looking like it follows the theme. There we go. That little guy. Ooh. More piping and an intercooler. All right, let me get these boxes out of the way. Unwrap all that stuff, show you a little bit better. Well, damn, we got a lot of stuff here, and we haven't even gotten to the main part of the show, which is in this box. So let me get everything unpackaged from here, get it laid out. I'll show you what's what. All right, this is the Unequal Fabrication first gen Honda Fit turbo kit, but there's a couple caveats. I provided a cast manifold. Figured this would probably hold up pretty well. It's super beefy. We're gonna see how well it holds up. I'm hoping it won't crack. If not, I guess I'll have to get one made, which kind of defeats the purpose of everything I did. But I also wanted to have that special blow-off valve instead of the HKS type, just because I want that iconic sound from the Eclipse in that first Fast and Furious movie. The GD3 Type S is a very high-pitched sound, and I think it'll be really cool for the car. I also opted for this behemoth. It's really not that big. It's just big on the front because it's got an anti-surge housing, which I will show you clips of. We also had to have this welded on to clear the shifter cables because with this manifold it sits pretty low. It has an adjustable built-in wastegate, so everything's internal. It is a ball bearing, so it should have pretty good life, a pretty quick spool. Yeah, I'm pumped about this. Seems like a really nice unit. It's my first time seeing one of these Arashi Kuro ball bearing series up close, and it looks pretty nice. Like the casting is actually pretty nice. The surfaces, like the mating surfaces, look pretty good. The finish on the powder is a little scratched up. I assume that's just from making the kit and tossing it in and out of the engine bay. But overall, seems like a quality unit. So that's cool. It's got a 7 psi spring in it now, which is probably what I will run. And then we've got this, which is a super tight 180, which needs to happen because the turbo sits like this, and then it needs to clear a bunch of stuff to come down. The pie cuts look pretty nice. The penetration inside of the welds look pretty good. Everything looks pretty uniform. We do have a flex, which is good to have. Hoping this one will last longer than the one on my header did, which is totally my own fault. I also know that a lot of these don't like to last with turbos. Hopefully this is a quality unit that will. We've got all of the couplers. The intercooler is an Emusa unit, which is like eBay brand plus. Interesting choice to weld on a smaller adapter. It does make it easier to just have straight couplers instead of couplers that have to jump in sizing, because those tend to be more difficult to find. But I find it interesting to weld those on instead of just finding the intercooler with the correct size. But I guess this might just be more cost effective. Not entirely sure about that. As I said earlier, we do also have a K&N filter, which is cool because we can clean these and they're good for the life of the car. I will be running a dry sock just so that this doesn't get wet with the vented hood. We've got a bunch of hardware to install the turbo. It comes with coolant lines because this is a water-cooled turbo. It comes with some stuff for an oil drain. It comes with gaskets. We've got different springs we can use if we want to change the boost pressure. And we've got all the clamps necessary to put everything together. So I think next up, I'm going to mox things up a little bit more. And then we'll get into that box, which should be my exhaust. So, quick explanation of turbo systems and how this gets installed before we mock it up on my spare engine. Basically, the engine pumps gas into this turbo manifold. So this one's got the 4 cylinders going into one, which then feeds into the turbo right there, which spins that propeller, which is connected to a shaft to that propeller, and that propeller is what makes all the cool turbo noises and makes boost pressure. It comes in through this pipe, gets compressed, goes out of that pipe, put that down. The exhaust gases come out of this turbine, go through the downpipe, out your exhaust. Air comes in through filter, through this pipe here, turbo then compresses the air, it comes out. From that one, we've got, I'm getting all my pipes mixed up here. This one here, which then goes intercooler. The intercooler cools down that compressed air, which is hot, comes out around, up into the throttle body. And then when the throttle body is closed, there's pressure that builds up in the system, and that's what the blow-off valve is for. So, very quick, simplified description of a turbo system. Let's get this mocked up. We've got our spare engine right here, so now it's time to start bolting all of this onto that. All right, so this is a pretty exciting first mock-up of everything. This is not the entire downpipe. There's still this part here, which has a couple O2 bungs and a V-band, and it goes on here sort of like that. But I'm gonna keep this off and leave it with the exhaust whenever I open that up. And I have already found a couple of things that I want to do here. Number one being converting as much as possible to studs. The bolts wouldn't fit in these two upper mount holes just because the manifold is so chunky. So I'm gonna see if I can get some ARP stuff, something strong that will last. This is a lot of weight to be hanging off of the 5 bolts that is on the cylinder head for all of this. So I want to try to give it as much of a chance of it not shearing anything as possible. Along with that, I will also be trying to make some sort of bracketry that holds it here, kind of triangulates it to the block and supports some of this weight. And then I also want to use like the OEM Nissan T25 SR20. They have like little brackets here that have little tabs to lock these in place, and these are known for backing out due to vibration on a lot of SRs. I just want to keep that from happening on mine since I do plan on tracking the car, and I want to keep everything as reliable as possible. I also see that this is going to be coming really close to where the shift cables come in for the transmission, so that'll be interesting with my hybrid racing shifters that are stiffer than OEM. And then another thing I'm going to be doing is I have been playing with designs to make a little bracket here to hold all of these in place since these bolts love to snap. And I think what I'm going to do is actually make a bend so it'll come down and make a 90 and make a heat shield here between all of the heat from the turbo and manifold, and keeping the ignition coils hopefully a little bit cooler and hopefully lasting a little bit longer. So with all that said, I'm going to flip this around and we're going to start putting all of the intercooler piping, or at least as much as I can, onto this to make sure I know orientation and that everything fits. All mocked up. I'm super pumped to get this on the car. I found a bunch of little things that I'm going to want to do before that happens. I might mock it on the actual car just to make sure everything works before sending everything out for powder coat, ordering hardware, etc. Because there's going to be a handful of things I'm going to want to do before this is installed for good. So yeah, man, I'm pumped about this one. I'm just a little worried about how this one's gonna run, just because it looks like it might have to kind of juke under a control arm, like next to subframe. I know that space is pretty tight on the pulley side of stuff. My car's pretty low and there's not a whole lot of room there, so I don't know how that's gonna work. I think this side should be pretty good. I think fog lights should hopefully clear no problem, because you know me, I gotta drive with my fog lights on all the time. But yeah, pretty psyched about this. What is cool is that the hood opening is kind of like right here, because water likes to get into my VTEC cylinder all the time. So you'll actually see the blow-off valve and hear it right out of the hood, which will be pretty cool. And the filter should be out of the way enough to where it's not going to be getting any direct water, kind of like how my setup is right now. Also already mentioned, but I'll say again, I'm going to get a dry sock for this just in case. Also keep some of the grit out of it. And yeah, that is about it for the actual turbo kit itself. Been dying to see what this exhaust looks like, because I don't have any idea what it ended up looking like, because I never got any pictures or anything. I did specify a look I wanted, so let's open it up and see if it matches my criteria. Well, now that the kit is all mocked up on the engine and I've got something to work off of and I can start tinkering with hardware and whatnot, I guess we got nothing left but to Open up this last box. This is the exhaust system. This is the most damaged box. It's got a big old hole in it right here. So I'm hoping that everything's still in good shape. It does feel like it's got some bubble wrap and stuff around it. So yeah, gonna cut it open, see what it looks like. Well, we've encountered our first snag. This is kind of what I was afraid of. The exhaust is the wrong style muffler. I've had talked to Ethan about wanting a dual tip oval muffler, and Jay was supposed to have the big fart cannon HKS style thing. These are great. They sound awesome on turbo cars. It's just not my style as far as looks. And I think that this would be kind of large on the back of the Fit. I'm looking up because I've got the Fit on the lift right above you. Not only that, but the tip is actually damaged. It's got a big ding on the side here from probably where that box was damaged. So that sucks. I haven't talked to Ethan yet about this. I'm sure he'll make it right, but it's just kind of a bummer. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna unpack the rest of this and look it over and make sure nothing else got damaged. This is the one I was most worried about. The other piping is pretty hard to damage unless you're trying really hard. But yeah, this is kind of, you know, it's a nice muffler. It's vibrant. It says that on the tip here, but yeah, we'll have to see what we can do about that. Alright, we got the rest of the exhaust unpackaged. This is the front piece where it snakes over to this section here, which then goes like that. I did opt for the resonator just to try to keep the car a little bit toned down. And this is just a straight through, so it should not impede performance. And then it kicks over to make it by the rear axle where this guy bolts up. I gotta say, I don't know what to say. I'm kind of bummed about this. Probably could have lived with it if it weren't dinged up here at the tip. It's got a big old ding. But yeah, I guess we're just gonna have to deal with it. It looks like the exhaust is an OEM replacement as far as fitment, so worst comes to worst, I can run what I have on there now. My mid pipe, the resonator hangs super low, and I was trying to avoid that and have this. This looks like it is lower profile and it will fit better, hopefully. So that's a plus. But yeah, a little bummed, but hey, stuff happens, I suppose, and we'll see what Ethan at Unequal wants to do to deal with it, because I haven't reached out to him yet. You're seeing this for the first time as I am. So yeah. All right, just wanted to clarify. I did get a chance to talk to Ethan at Unequal. He thought that the HKS Cannon style muffler was going to be for my car and that the twin tip was going to be for Jay's car when it was the other way around. So there was just a miscommunication there. Showed him the damage on stuff, and he said he's going to be making me my exhaust, the whole cat back, everything, and shipping that over, and then I'll be sending him this one back. Not entirely sure what he's going to do with that, whether he's going to keep it for one of his cars or have it as a discounted item. I don't really know. You can ask him if you want. I'm sure he will be posting it if he will have it. But that should be getting fixed. He said he's going to be working on it this weekend and then shipping it out. I'm excited to see what that looks like when it's done, because when I first got the car, it had the Megan Racing axle back on it, which is that oval style twin tip muffler. I really like the look of it, but it was way too loud. So having a proper muffler that looks that way should be pretty cool. And the turbo actually does act like a muffler, believe it or not, to make the car quieter. So it should be pretty good. I don't want something that's super loud on the car. I do want to keep it tame, and then I want it to kind of come up in volume and tone as the RPMs goes up, and I want to be able to hear this turbo scream. So I'm excited to see what it looks like, see what it sounds like, and get it installed once everything is here. But yeah, just wanted to let you know we did get that sorted. I'm just going to be waiting on the new stuff to show up. So that concludes all the new stuff that just came in to finally turbo the Fit. I still have a ton of stuff to do before that happens. I'm going to have to test fit everything, make sure everything clears the way it's supposed to with my personal setup. We have Silver Car up here finishing transmission work on because that thing blew up. We've got a bunch of work to finish on this. I'm waiting on a part to reach the transmission shop so the transmission can get done. I still have to finish my gauge pod setup so we can get some gauges in the car. I still have to finalize fuel system in that car before it can get turboed. And maybe, just maybe, sounds like a pipe dream at this point because there's so much left to do, but I might be able to get it all done before Honda Meet. That would be awesome, so I could track the car with the new setup on. But at this point, I don't know. We'll see. So, yeah, I've got a bunch of stuff to do. I got to knock this out. We've got the new headlight kit from Road Manners right over here. We're going to be doing a video on those. I have the Osrams in this. I've got terrible LEDs in the black car. We're going to be putting those cool johns on. So we got a lot of cool stuff coming up. We just got to knock some stuff out before we get there. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.